What is a video game? How do you define it? How does one objectively evaluate a given title's video gameness? Well, to paraphrase Justice Potter Stewart, video games are like porn. I know them when I see them. And this subjective method has led to countless conflicts over the years, as enthusiastic gamers fervently argue over which titles count as video games and, more importantly, which do not. Well, that ends now. Today, we will finally solve this monumental conundrum once and for all. Video game. Noun. An electronic game played by means of images on a video screen. Okay, this dictionary is a little old. I'm sure the definition has increased in specificity over the last 40 years, so Merriam-Webster's current definition for video game is an electronic game in which players control images on a video screen. Wow. That hasn't changed much over the decades. And most problematically, that definition is so broad it doesn't exclude anything. And where's the fun in that? Well, if you want something done right, hire an expert. And as it happens, this video is made possible by the generous generosity of Cameron Brown, who has supported me on Patreon for $10 a month for an entire year, allowing me to commission a professional wordsmith to work up a modern definition that perfectly articulates our intuitive sense of what is and is not a video game. Super cool, right? Yeah. I ain't doing that, though. No, I'm pocketing the cash and writing my own definition. So, video game. Video game. Let's start with video. What makes a game a video game? Well, what makes a game a board game, or a card game, or a dice game? I'd say the entire experience's primary point of interaction. Monopolies is a board, so board game. Poker is a card game, Yahtzee is a dice game. But wait, Monopoly, like many board games, uses a combination of board, cards, and dice. That's why I think the use of the word primary is important. Why is Monopoly a board game and not a card or dice game? Because the primary point of interaction is the game board itself. The cards and dice are supplemental. They influence how players interact with the board. This is also why the raft of VHS board games from the late 80s and 90s are still board games. The tapes, like cards and dice, are supplemental to the game board. So, what's the primary point of interaction of a video game? Like Merriam-Webster said, it's a video screen. And that could be any type of electronic display, be it a television, PC monitor, phone, watch, calculator, headset, or any dedicated handheld device from the Steam Deck to a Tamagotchi. And just like board games can utilize supplemental forms of feedback, such as cards, dice, or even VHS tapes, a video game can utilize supplemental forms of feedback, such as sound from speakers or haptics from a rumble motor, and still be a video game so long as the primary point of interaction is the electronic display itself. Now, an interaction, by definition, is reciprocal. It goes both ways. Players' actions are based on feedback from an electronic display, but what's displayed is based on feedback from the player, and I would argue that it doesn't matter how that feedback is received. I think it's a video game whether the player is interacting via some type of physical controller, or voice commands, or motion control, or if we're particularly forward-thinking, mind control. So, a video game is an interactive experience engaged with primarily via feedback from an electronic display. Cool. Quick question. Is driving a car a video game? No. Okay. What if the car had no windows and you were operating it based on feedback from an electronic display? I suspect most would argue no, because you're actually driving a car. I think part of what makes a video game is that the experience you're interacting with is a simulation. If you're really operating a vehicle, or really climbing a mountain, or really preparing your taxes, then it's not a video game, it's real life. So, a video game is a simulated interactive experience engaged with primarily via feedback from an electronic display. Okay, that's the video part, but before we move on, does this definition include augmented reality games? I would say yes, because the augmented portion of reality is the simulated experience you're interacting with via feedback from an electronic display. Alright, we're off to a good start. Let's tackle the game part. What makes a video game a game? Imagine a screensaver featuring a bunch of bubbles leisurely drifting across the screen. Now imagine you can jostle the bubbles around a bit by nudging them with the mouse cursor. Is that a video game? It's a simulated interactive experience. It's engaged with primarily via feedback from an electronic display, but I think most of us would say, no, that's not a video game. Okay, but why? Well, that's what the second half of the definition is for. So, let's see what we can glean from Merriam-Webster. The noun form of game has a lot of definitions, but the bits that stick out to me for our purposes is that there are rules or some sort of structure that governs how players interact with the experience in order to win a contest of some sort involving rivalry, strategy, or struggle. Okay, so our interactive bubble screensaver isn't a video game because there's no way to win? No goal that can be achieved? Well, that can't be right because there are tons of video games that have no win state. Dem old quarter munchers of yore, like Space Invaders, Asteroids, or Centipede, you can't win. You just play until you run out of lives and game over. Yet, I think we'd all agree that they're still video games. So, if a win state is not what makes a video game a game, maybe achieving a goal isn't the important bit. Maybe it's that the goal can be failed. Imagine a maze with a single corridor, and the goal is to reach the exit. There are no obstacles, no enemies, no time limit. You just walk from one end to the other. Is that a video game? It has a goal. That goal can be achieved, but I think we'd all agree it isn't a video game, and I posit the reason why is because there's no way to lose. There's no way to fail, and I think that is what makes a video game a game. Think about it. Would Pac-Man be a video game if there were no ghosts? The goal is to clear the maze of dots before you run out of lives, but if there are no ghosts to take those lives from you, then there's no way to fail. You just wander around the play area and collect dots at your leisure. There's no game there. And so, a video game is a simulated interactive experience engaged with primarily via feedback from an electronic display that has a goal that can be failed. But what if a player of our single-corridored maze decides not to move? What if they do the same in No Ghost Pac-Man? In both cases, the player has, through their own inaction, failed to achieve the title's goal. So, by refusing to engage with the experience at all, its goal can be failed, so it is a video game, right? Well, I'd say no. So let's update our definition to clarify that the interactive experience has a goal that can, through said interaction, fail to be met. But what if a player interacts with Single Maze Corridor by turning around and walking into the wall? What if they interact with No Ghost Pac-Man by indefinitely circling the same area and never clearing the maze of dots? They have, through interaction, failed to achieve the title's goal. So it's a game, yeah? We all agree the answer's no, right? Okay. A video game is an interactive experience that has a goal that can, through good faith interaction, fail to be met. But what if our single corridor maze has a fishing minigame? Via bad positioning, timing, or using the wrong bait, you can fail to catch a fish, so the minigame is a game. Does its presence make single corridor maze a game? Is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time a game? Yes. Is it a game because there's a fishing minigame in it? No. Because catching fish is not the goal of Ocarina of Time. A game's failable goal must encompass the entire experience. So, a video game has an overarching goal that can, through good faith interaction, fail to be met. But what if the goal of Single Corridor Maze was to have fun? You can definitely fail to do that, so it's a game, right? Well, now we're getting into Eye of the Beholder territory. A game is a game depending on the opinion of who's playing it. No, we need a definition by which we can objectively evaluate whether a particular title is a game or not. So, a video game has an overarching, non-subjective goal that can, through good faith interaction, fail to be met. Okay. We're almost there. One more qualification to make. What is the overarching, non-subjective goal of Space Invaders? Clear the area of descending invaders before they reach the ground. Is that a goal that you can, through good faith interaction, fail to achieve? Yes. The aliens can reach the ground before you shoot them all, or you could get shot by them and run out of lives before they even reach the ground. But what if you couldn't return fire? Well, there'd be no way to prevent the invaders from reaching the ground, no way to meet that goal. Imagine if Single Corridor Maze had no exit. Sure, now you can, in good faith, fail to get out, but there's no exit. It's just a single corridor that you're wandering back and forth in. There's no game. The overarching goal has to be achievable, even if, like in Space Invaders, there's no ultimate win state. So, a video game is a simulated, interactive experience engaged with primarily via feedback from an electronic display that has an overarching, non-subjective, and attainable goal that can, through good faith interaction, fail to be met. Now, what many of you have doubtlessly realized is what the latter half of this definition is describing is a gameplay loop. The definition is saying that a video game has a gameplay loop that you can get all the way around, and while you don't need to be able to exit the loop into a win state, you do need to be able to exit into a fail state. That's a video game, according to the definition that I made up. Alright, before we evaluate whether specific titles are video games or not, let's test the definition and ensure it isn't inadvertently excluding entire genres. Sports games. This seems obvious. Most of them are going to have an overarching goal along the lines of score more points than your opponent. Can you score points? Yes. Can you fail to score points? Yes. Cool. It's a video game. Platformers. Another obvious one. Get from point A to point B. Can the platforms get you there? Sure. Can you fail? Yeah, you can fall off the damn platform. Video game. Shooters. Similarly, get from point A to point B. Can you get past the obstacles? Sure. Shoot them. Can you fail? Yeah, the obstacles can probably shoot back, or at least run up and bite you in the face. Video game. Roguelikes. Again, these broadly task you with getting from point A to point B. Can you get there? Yes. Can you fail? Yes. In fact, these games are so sure you're going to fail that they provide you with a brand new path to point B every time you do. So, yeah. Video game. Strategy. Smartly use resources to get from point A to point B. Or survive some type of onslaught, or overcome a certain obstacle. Possible, if you use your resources smartly, yeah, possible to fail. If you use your resources not so smartly, or the random number generator hates you, either way, video game. Rhythm. Perform specific actions at precise times. Possible? Yes. Do the thing with good timing. Possible to fail? Also yes. Do the thing with not so good timing. Video game. Alright, so far so good, but let's look at a few genres that aren't quite so obvious. Endless runners. Earlier, we discussed why score attack arcade classics like Space Invaders are still games, even though there's no end and you will eventually lose. Same goes for endless runners. What's the goal? Well, it's obviously not to reach the end, as the name implies. There isn't one. Instead, the overarching goal is to dodge obstacles so you can run without stopping. Can you dodge obstacles? Yeah, you can vault over them or slide under them. Sometimes you can attack them. Can you fail? Sure. You can miss time in action and crash into a wall or fall into a pit. Like Tetris, something I think we all agree is a game, no matter how good you are, you'll eventually lose. Eventually game over. But there is an achievable overarching goal you can fail, so it's still a game. Puzzle games. Typically, these boil down to figuring out how to reach a predetermined solution, and generally, if you keep at it, you'll get there eventually. Sooner or later, you'll navigate out of the maze, or open the box, or complete the jigsaw puzzle. Remember, the goal has to be failed through a good faith interaction with the experience. You can't just stop playing, so what's the fail state? It's performing an action intended to progress you towards the solution that either doesn't move you towards the solution or moves you away from it. Yes, you'll get out of the maze eventually, but if you take a wrong turn, that's a fail. If you push enough buttons and slide enough panels, you'll eventually open the box, but every move that doesn't progress you towards that goal is a fail. Every 2 jigsaw pieces you try to interlock that don't fit together is a fail. So, yes, puzzles can be video games. Point-and-click adventures. Broadly, reach the narrative's conclusion. Possible? Yes. Possible to fail? Well, in many of the old Sierra games, absolutely. The smallest thing could kill you. But what about adventures where you can't die? What's the fail state? Well, similar to puzzle games, if you make a move that doesn't advance you towards your goal, that's a fail. So if you use one of your inventory items and the game tells you that doesn't work here, that's the fail state. It's true that if you rub all your inventory items against every spot in the environment, you'll get it eventually, but all those incorrect rubbings are the fail states. That's why they're games. Simulations. A simulation, in and of itself, is not a video game. The overarching goal is to mimic an existing system or process, and if that fails, it's not on you, it's on the sim itself. However, a simulation can be the basis of an entire video game. Take city builders. They simulate things like population growth, traffic, weather, supply and demand, crime and disaster response, and scores of other things. The overarching goal could be defined as build a city. Can you fail to do that? Depending on which specific game we're talking about, yes, due to mismanagement, you can run out of resources which prevent you from building. That's a game. Visual novels. Are they games? Well, it depends on the title. Broadly, the goal is to reach the narrative's conclusion, often a specific conclusion out of a variety of possibilities, the so-called good ending. So, if there's a good end, and it's possible to not reach the good end, then it's a game. However, if there's no good end, and the goal is to simply explore all the available narrative paths, or explore the only available narrative path, or all narrative paths lead to the same conclusion, then it's not a game. FMV games. Like visual novels, it depends on the title. If there's a good end you can fail to reach, it's a game. If the goal is just see all the video clips and there's no way to fail to do that, it's not. Of course, sometimes you get odd ducks like Her Story, where the goal is to use a text parser to find video clips by entering keywords. This is one of those you'll get it eventually situations, but the fact that you can enter a keyword and come back with 0 video clips is a fail state. So, unconventional as it is, Her Story is a video game. But we don't care which titles are video games. We want to know which ones are not. Well, strap in, and I will list a few video games that are not video games according to the definition of video games that I made up. Ready? Here we go. Cookie Clicker. Not a video game. What's the overarching goal? To make cookies. Can you do that? Yes. Click the cookie. Can you fail to do that? Other than by refusing to click the cookie, no. So Cookie Clicker is not a video game. I still like Cookie Clicker, though. I think it's charming, imaginative, and fun to discover each new increasingly outlandish cookie-producing process as your cookie stockpiles grow to absurd heights. Remember that game, like art, is just a noun that describes what something is, not its quality, not its value. So while Cookie Clicker and other titles I'm about to name are not video games, that does not mean they lack worth. Cool? Cool. So what else is not a video game? The Sims. The overarching goal is to manipulate an environment and the simulated people living within to see what happens. There's no way to fail. Even though your Sims can die, which would usually be regarded as a failure state, I don't know that many would argue the overarching goal is to keep your Sims alive, so in the context of this particular title, death is just one of the many things that can happen in response to your interactions. No more a failure state than birth, or marriage, or divorce, or promotions, or firing, or fights, or, woohoo. If you know, you know. Oh, and it's worth noting that there are a ton of different sequels, spin-offs, and expansions to The Sims, some of which unequivocally are video games. Moving on. Dear Esther. Overarching goal? Explore an island while listening to a narrated story. Any way to fail? Nope. You just take in the environment while walking along a path from one end of the island to the other. However, there are a few things worth noting. First, there are a few dead ends that branch off the path, but in the context of this title, they're just extra places to explore for the purpose of environmental storytelling. Walking into a cave with no exit instead of continuing on the main path is not a failure to go the right way. Also, there are ghosts inhabiting the island, and you can fail to spot them. Now, that could be a video game, say the good ending depended on the number of ghosts you find. But that's not Dear Esther. It doesn't tell you there are ghosts, let alone care if you spot any. It's just something you can do. Missing them is not a fail state. And finally, believe it or not, you can die in Dear Esther. Yeah, seriously. While listening to the opening narration, you can turn around and walk into the ocean until your head is underwater and stand there until you drown. Fail state? I'd say no. I'd categorize deliberately drowning or throwing yourself off a cliff to go against our definition's good faith interaction, so no good faith way to fail means not a video game. The Stanley Parable. Wander around an office and see how the narrator reacts. That's it. Depending on where you go, different stories unfold. Is any story the right story? Is any end the good end? Not so far as I can tell. Now, there may be some stories, some narrator interactions that you never happen upon, but I don't get the sense that here every bit of narration is the overarching goal, so I wouldn't regard that as a failure. As such, The Stanley Parable is not a video game. Wii Sports. It's a collection of video games, but not a video game itself. There's no connection between the games. What you do in Wii Bowling has no effect on Wii Tennis. There's no overarching goal to Wii Sports as a whole that can be failed. Interestingly, the WarioWare titles are video games, even though they're similarly a collection of minigames. Why one but not the other? Because failing the minigames in WarioWare affects the overall experience by preventing you from progressing to new batches of minigames and eventually the title's conclusion. Same with Rhythm Heaven. It too can be regarded as a collection of minigames, but they work together to present a continuous experience with an overarching goal that can be failed. But what about Minecraft? This is an odd one because it has two major modes. One is a video game and one is not. If you're playing survival mode, it's a video game. The overarching goal is to survive. Can you do that? Sure, find resources you can use to build things to protect yourself from the hungry critters that come out at night. Can you fail? Yep, you can fall from a great height, starve, drown, burn, or get killed by the aforementioned critters. But if you're playing creative mode, it's just build whatever you want, wherever you want. There are no resource limits, no health bar, and no way to fail. So, is Minecraft a game? I would say yes, because creative mode is not a fundamentally different experience. It's just survival mode with all the options that make it a game turned off. So, while I would consider Wii Sports a collection of games and not a game itself, I would consider Minecraft a game, just one with options that transform the experience to something that is not. Mario Paint. It's not a video game. It's an art application. The overarching goal is to make art. Can you fail to do that? Nope. You can fail to make good art. You can fail to make art you're happy with, but those are subjective goals, and we need a non-subjective goal. An overarching non-subjective goal, which is why the inclusion of that super fun fly swatter minigame doesn't make Mario Paint itself a video game. Slay the Princess. We talked about visual novels and how some are games and some are not. Due to this one's title, you might think the overarching goal is to slay the princess, but having played it, I don't feel that's the case. To me, the overarching goal is to make choices and see where the narrative takes you as a result. There doesn't appear to be a specific conclusion you're aiming for, a good end. All choices appear to be equally valid, so there doesn't seem to be a way to fail. So, slay the princess, not a video game. And finally, last one I promise, Animal Crossing. Not a video game. The main games, I mean. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is a video game, but mainline entries like the recent New Horizons are not. What's the non-subjective overarching goal? Live your life on your island. You can do that, and there's no way to fail, so it's not a game. There are lots of things to do in Animal Crossing, and some of them are games, such as fishing and bug catching, activities you can fail due to bad positioning or timing. However, after speaking with my sister, a hardcore Animal Crossing fan, she agreed that obtaining the golden fishing rod or golden bug net, the rewards you get for catching all the fish and bugs, are not the overarching goal of Animal Crossing, just things you can do. She also pointed out that even if one considered getting a 5-star island ranking to be the overarching goal, there's no way to fail the requirements needed to achieve that ranking. So, Animal Crossing. Not a video game. And there we have it. A video game is a simulated, interactive experience engaged with primarily via feedback from an electronic display that has an overarching, non-subjective, and attainable goal that can, through good faith interaction, fail to be met. This was a difficult one to write, but I'm proud of the result. I've done a good thing. Dare I say, made the world a better place. Yes, history shall remember my selfless and thoughtful contribution of a workable definition that will finally quell decades of argumentation over what is and is not a video game, and at long last usher in an era of everlasting gamer peace and prosperity. Or now we'll just argue over what the overarching goal of the game is.